What up, chuds? Cobson here, and today I've got another brand new video for y'all. You see, I've been watching far left political brain rot, so you don't have to. And specifically, I've been watching my favorite Dunning Kruger shitlib, Jesse Dollemore. As we all know, the assassination attempt on President Trump was barely 2 weeks ago, and what we've managed to see is the ugliness of the liberals when they reap the wind and sow the whirlwind. I know for us, the ones who have found enlightenment and are aware of how the system really works, mainstream media propaganda is ineffective. But we forget that we comprise the small minority of the people in this country who are actually in tune with what goes on. So when you believe that Big Brother is always correct, you will rationalize anything that contradicts Big Brother's words. And I can think of nothing that truly brings this out in people like Jesse than the attempt on President Trump's life. Sure, I could find another random Blue Anon Twitter account with 100 followers proclaiming that the shooting was planned or faked, but that's too easy for me. Instead, I want to dissect the coverage of this event, especially the coverage by none other than Fat Jesse. But that just ain't fun enough. So why don't you follow me on the first three stages of the path of Jesse Dollemore's grief when it comes to the matter. We begin with the first stage, denial. Dollemore refuses to acknowledge the facts of the case that he cannot use to his advantage. As a result, this is only a partial denial. He's not saying, oh, it didn't happen, at least not explicitly saying that. But a partial denial is still a denial. And deflecting on to others what you are guilty of is a distraction from his own deceptive coverage and from the consequences of his own rhetoric, which we'll see a bit later on.
There's a feeling, Kaufman wrote in a text message, that Democrats' constant pounding on President Trump as a threat to democracy leads to this. How else are we supposed to respond to Donald Trump's threat to democracy that he poses, Ron Kaufman? Are we supposed to be quiet about it? He attempted to end democracy. He incited a violent, deadly insurrection against the country, attempted to overthrow the United States government by overturning a free and fair, settled American election. But we can't talk about that because it might incite violence? No one's saying go kill Donald Trump because he did this. They're saying get to the ballot box, defeat him at the polls, end this once and for all so he will never be a threat to the nation again. That's what we're saying.
So I want to begin this section by noting the delicious irony of Jesse spouting the exact same rhetoric that led to this, and then going out and denying that it had any motivation at all for the assassination attempt on President Trump. So I want to ask you personally, Jesse, what happens if Trump wins? You say he's an evil, spooky, Nazi, fascist, white Christian nationalist who wants to kill all minorities and jail women who have abortions. Why would you tolerate living under that? If Donald Trump is the biggest existential threat to democracy and will install a fascist dictatorship and kill 6 million more Jews, would you just let that happen? I know I wouldn't, and I don't even believe he's a fascist. Do you think you can just vote out fascism once it takes control? I mean, this is where I would like to bring up Dollemore's dilemma that I brought up in the last video. Either Dollemore is reveling in this. He is too stupid to understand the logical conclusions of his rhetoric, or he is covering his ass and trying to deflect as much as possible to avoid financial consequences. You see, as someone who actually cares about American democracy, I don't want to live in a country where my president can be assassinated. As a result, I'm so hard on Dollemore because he and his beliefs are like tumors. They spread, they metastasize, and eventually they kill. But it isn't enough to just deny any wrongdoing. He must make his ilk out to be the victim as well. There is no greater victim of political violence than Jesse. Someone wearing a MAGA hat called him fat in 2015 and he still hasn't recovered. I mean, real serious shit, you guys. Anyway, roll the clip.
Mike Collins, a Republican from Georgia who is just a wild, incredulous nutter butter, tweeted two things that I want to bring to your attention. First, Joe Biden sent the orders. If anything is going to incite violence with the long track record of MAGA idiots who launch into vicious attacks and threats, it'll be something like that. That Joe Biden sent the orders of this unhinged Republican white male to kill Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Joe Biden who is the victim because people pointed out his rhetoric, not Donald Trump, the man who got fucking shot in the head. And why is it he only brings up white male Republican? What does he mean by that? You don't seriously think this was an inside job, do you? I mean, that precise of an aim to just barely miss Trump's skull has single-handedly put every Olympic rifleman to shame. And why is it that that only those three traits matter? Why does it matter what party he was registered with when people like Liz Cheney and Ana Navarro are ostensibly Republicans? Are you trying to say that this was a stunt to elevate the Trump campaign? And why is Mike Collins promoting violence against Joe Biden by pointing out how Biden said a day earlier to put Trump in the, quote, bullseye? But it's completely okay to equate Trump with the man who committed one of history's greatest crimes against humanity, someone who, if anyone actually believed a word that you say, would want to kill. With all those pathetic, shallow attempts to reroute the conversation from the fact that Jesse Dollemore has committed stochastic terrorism, let's just move on to the anger section.
The United States Secret Service is a failed organization.
All right, now, believe it or not, I'm actually happy that Jesse has expressed outrage at the Secret Service. I really am. Now, why? Because for once we actually agree on something. The Secret Service is a failed institution. But now let's hear what else he has to say.
And not just because they worked in concert with the fascist insurrectionists to obstruct justice in the case, to delete thousands upon thousands upon thousands of text messages, not like a month's worth, but coincidentally, just on January 6th. What a weird data snafu to have thousands of text messages that would have given us a glimpse in, a clear eye about what took place and what the failures were. They just happened to be deleted on that day. Wow. Weird.
And right out of the gates, we have a shallow, partisan conspiracy theory that is by no means based in reality whatsoever. Jesse Dollemore, everyone. A real unifying figure, am I right?
Now they failed in the attempted attack on Donald Trump. The guy who took a shot at Donald Trump, they failed. The outer perimeter was absolutely breached by a dipshit 20-year-old white Republican.
Oh yeah, Jesse, you're really sticking it to those 20-year-old dipshit white Republicans who want to murder Donald Trump.
To shoot Donald Trump. To shoot at Donald Trump. We still haven't verified if it was a bullet that hit him or something else. Who knows?
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is your brain on Dollemore. You, just looking at this example, if you were Jesse, you would be unable to recall basic facts about a case. You have to doubt anything, just regardless of how true it is, if it is inconvenient for you. That is the Dollemore playbook.
It is funny, as an aside, that, it's a 20-year-old white Republican who takes a shot at Donald Trump with an AR-15, their weapon of choice, their symbol of patriotism. And they're blaming everybody else except for the member of their own party who did it.
Now, this is the absolute zenith of political commentary. Yeah, it's so insanely dumb. that words cannot describe it. Let's use his logic, because he says, "Oh, because the person who did the shooting was, even though he was a liberal, he was a registered Republican. That means that anything a Democrat does is the fault of the DNC. Slavery and the reparations for it that Dollemore loves should be paid directly out of the DNC's coffers. If he really wants to make an argument as stupid as this."
Up to and including the Secret Service, but not for the right reason. They're blaming it on women. Oh, there was women there. That's the problem. That's why. There's no way that a female could be a good Secret Service agent. And this is the party that millions of women want to take part in. They want to vote for.
You know what? Dollemore is completely right. I mean, don't you know all those famous female NFL players? I mean, obviously, if they're so good at the NFL, they can tackle men and carry the football, throw it long distances. I mean, oh wait, I forgot. Those don't exist. Because there is a reason, Dollemore. A reason that you appear willfully ignorant to. That men are, in the vast majority of cases, physically superior to women. This is a result of natural biological circumstances and is not in any way, shape, or form sexist unless you want to say that material reality in and of itself oppresses women.
So I have a couple clips here. One is really going to point out the failure of the Secret Service, that the outer perimeter was breached by a dipshit, not some military maven, not somebody with expertise, not somebody with hours and hours and hours of training in counterinsurgency techniques and tactics. No. Just a goof, a stupid 20-year-old with an AR-15. So here is, and really, this is chef's kiss on your outfit, brother.
Kill yourself, brother. All right, now that I got that out of my system, I want us to do a quick recap of everything he says. And this is within the first 3 minutes of his video. He he says that it was the fault of a white Republican male, and those are the only things that matter. No further context needed. The Secret Service magically deleted data, even though that's a conspiracy theory that is false. Women are actually as physically capable as men, as evidenced by the absolute competence on display during the assassination attempt. And finally, the guy who supports Trump is a clown. He's poisoning the well, bro. This isn't even funny. It's just angry. And believe it or not, this is actually progression. Because at least he's acknowledged that the Secret Service has failed at their one and only job. I'm aware that's an extremely low bar, but Jesse is different from you or I, alright? It ain't fair to grade the mentally disabled on the same rubric as we grade everyone else, now is it? What we actually have seen so far is a hint of stage 3, bargaining. He's trying desperately to avoid having to accept that he is responsible, or his side is responsible. He's downplaying it. Oh, it wasn't so bad. Donald Trump, we don't even know if he got shot by a bullet. I mean, regardless of the actual evidence, all the papers that have been written saying yes, it was a bullet. This guy pretends that we don't know, and he's doing this because he's coping. It's just plain and simple. And I cannot think of a better way to shift onto part 3 than what I just said. For this final section, I will not be using any clips, not because I can't find any, but because this is a message to Dollemore if he truly does not understand what is coming out of his mouth. Compassion is always an option, and I don't ever want to leave someone behind if they want to better themselves. As to not retread the same ground, bargaining is the current stage that Jesse is in. And it doesn't look like he'll be going any further than here, unfortunately. This is usually where the road ends for people of all sides of the political spectrum who have suffered from political brain rot. However, it doesn't have to be this way. No one is saying you have to like Donald Trump. No one's even saying you have to change your beliefs. All I'm asking is that you do your part to help clean up our democracy. I'm well aware that you will likely hit me with a tu quoque, point the finger at people you don't like, and excuse your rhetoric by using pseudo intellectual models such as Umberto Eco's 14 points. Allow me to diffuse it all right here, right now. You don't control Donald Trump. You don't control Joe Scarborough. You don't control anyone else who uses rhetoric that can divide people. But you do control yourself. It isn't too late to stop stoking division and hatred. Both of our viewers will thank you for it, and you will be doing infinitely more for our democracy than you are right now.